Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming out to my channel, Deb Chanel 48's World. We're going to be reviewing today the X Files Season 10, Episode 4, Home Again. And it was quite interesting. It gave me the effect that I was used to feeling when I watched the X Files, that mysterious mystery of anticipating something to happen and something actually happening, and then you getting that thought moment. So I was really into this particular um, broadcast. So I had my help.
What you about to call me helper?
My trusted sidekick, Chauncey, here to review the well, I'm sorry. What was your screen name again?
Sorry, helper.
Star J Craziness is how what she goes by on her YouTube channel. So check her out when you get a chance if you want to laugh or get some inspirational stuff going on. But let's get on into the X Files here. First, it kind of gave me a we got that man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator movie, when he was coming back saying, "I'll be back,"
Now you
that
gotta
kind of
say
thing.
it like it.
I'll be
Back.
back. Lord have mercy. But anyway, it's good to laugh. You actually lose some weight too, not that much, but if you laugh a lot during
Couple
the
of
day,
inches.
you lose some interest. They say it. But anyway, had that little kind of motif to it, and the whole basis of the story as we got into the latter part of the um the program was it was this guy who was kind of like an environmentalist, homeless type person, and he was speaking on how the government don't really pay attention to the homeless community. They just really look at those type of individuals as a waste, and they treat them like or disregard their what do you call it, existence, and it kind of compare
They
the
see them as trash.
yeah, the homeless people as
Yeah.
trash, something you just discard because you don't want anymore, and da 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 d. But you just can't disregard human life, regardless. They're here. We have to do something with them, and we have to think on a scale of being showing humane side towards humanity, because we are who we are, and we're not going anywhere unless we're gonna be experimented on in some facet of our lives. But it was just the same shame, and he was bringing attention to it. So he was going around doing a lot of artwork on the buildings and stuff, and he had caught himself being very angry one day, and I don't know if he was his religion was Buddhism or mystical type religion, maybe dealing with the Kabbalah. I'm not really sure, but how he was talking about it was that if he felt real strong about something and he put it in his mind, and I guess you could say he prayed up upon it, it manifested itself into whatever he was making. And at the time, he was making some clay type of representation of a human, and he was sketching the facial expressions and the whole body out, and just getting into it, and then he started making it in a clay form, and somehow I guess he didn't have enough clay to finish it, and he was just putting it together with band-aids. So in a sense, he called that latest masterpiece that he was working on Band-Aid Man.
Why can't we do this one?
No. And
Please.
no, I'm going on with my review, girl.
Please.
No. And anyway, and so I don't know what her problem is, but she'll catch up.
Because you done messed it up.
How I messed it up.
Can we do it over,
No, we're
please?
not gonna do it all, but we're gonna forge ahead. So whatever she wanted to do or try to do, she'll get back in the groove with it. But we're going on with this thing, or you can just excuse yourself and I can do it myself. But anyway, Scully, I guess she don't want to continue it with me, and that is okay. Anyway, she Scully came. Well, she was her and Mulder was talking about the case because evidently somebody had got killed in the incident, and it brought it to be a FBI type of scenario or a case that they needed to investigate because everything didn't seem to fit the profile of a human being committing these crimes. So they had to think that it should have been looked at on a deeper issue, and that would have made it an X file because then they were thinking that it could have been some type of extraterrestrial or some other supernatural being that committed the crime because no human person would have been able to commit that particular type of a crime, even though it was on an official government official. It was just out of the ordinary, so that made it a X case file. So that's how it got thrown to Mulder them uh, in their area. And at the time, they were discussing the case, and then somebody called on the phone um, to alert Scully that her mother had been hospitalized. So on the phone, it showed that it was her brother, older brother William, that was calling her, telling her about what had happened and stuff. And so she immediately left Mulder and went, as anybody would do with when a loved one is ill or facing a near death type of experience. They, drop everything and they go to where that person is and try to get there as quickly as possible. So she was down there attending to her mom. She finally got there and was telling her mom, she didn't want her to leave her not this soon because they had some unfinished business, to talk about. And, she just didn't want her mom to die at that time, at least not that way. And she was very well concerned that she had knew her mother's orders or whenever she got into that particular situation where life and death situations had to be made, and medical issues had to be thought about far as saving her life if it got to a point where it was a situation where she had to choose life to live on aspirator or breathing machine, or she would just, if she couldn't live on her own breaths, she would just rather be she would rather live on an artificial assimilator or a breathing machine until something can be worked out to get her alive and well again. That's what the things she had wrote down in her medical release form and her medical directives of if she ever got in that type of situation. She wanted to be saved, at any cost. But evidently someone else had talked with the mom, or the mom didn't get Scully's approval because she did a secondary type medical directives where if anything happened to her, she would not want to be living on any artificial type saving equipment, such as the breathing apparatus. She would just rather be taken off and peacefully die, you know, however long it took. She didn't want no life sustaining type measures being kept to keep her here. If she couldn't breathe on her own, she wanted to be let go. Now, of course, Scully was like, who made those decisions, da 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 da. And they really didn't quite make it really clear. They just said that your mother was in good sound mind and she could pretty much change her medical directives of life sustaining measures being taken if she ever was put in that situation. She didn't necessarily have to go back and inform whoever she had talked with prior to changing over the situation of how she wanted things to go if she was in a situation where a life and death situation had to be made. So she was kind of upset about that, and she talked with the medical provider that was over her mother's case, and she was just saying, it's her mother's signature. She talked with her mother. She didn't feel like her mother was under any kind of distress or anything that would have made her make a decision of that, magnitude without her being, in sound body and mind. So, Dana was like, okay, well, I wish I would have been told that because that's not what, we had talked about some years ago. So, anyway, when she was trying to talk to her mother, even though her mother was, in a coma, and maybe Dana thought she was getting to her, and then again, maybe she didn't. It was just all wishful thinking, or hoping that her mother could hear her, because they believed in, just because a person can't speak doesn't necessarily mean they can't hear your thoughts that you're displaying to them. And anyway, she was trying to, tell mom keep hope alive. She needs to, come back this way because she still needed her, and all this things and of that nature. And then she called her brother. Well, it was a situation where she had mentioned her, what do you call it? Her youngest son's name, and I don't know. Maybe I need to go back and review, because the only children I thought she had was the older son, which was Will, and her sister Melissa, that had died off previously. And I didn't know of a Charlie, but I have to go back and let that refresh my memory. Go back into some old archive videos and see. But everything was like on point, and I don't know who got in touch with Charlie, but towards the end of her demise, he did call, and Dana was like, you need to talk to mom, try to get her to come back this way because it doesn't look good, da 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 da. So she put him on speakerphone, and he went on and was talking to his mother and stuff, and she was like kind of waking up, and in fact she did wake up, but she was looking at Mulder, and Mulder was holding her hand, thinking she's gonna say, something else pivotal, uh, that could help them understand how she got in the situation that she got in to from the beginning. But the only thing she did was just look up at Mulder and say, "Oh yes, I have a grandson by the name of William." And then she just floated on out this world, leaving Scully with more questions and no answers to satisfy her little self. And she was upset because, her mother was holding on to some type of jewelry that was like an old quarter, and it had a date on it. But, Scully couldn't make heads or tails on what it meant, because she never ever seen that piece of jewelry um, hooked up into like a necklace that she would be wearing, all the time that she knew her in her adult life. So it was sort of like a mystery. And I was kind of confused because, her oldest son is the one that called Scully to tell her of the mother's situation. And I'm like, he never came to the hospital. I don't know if he was too far away, or he was, on some assignment and couldn't make it. But it's just like, why he's not there, or why his wife didn't come to be with her, since, it was like a life and death situation, and it seemed like Scully needed to have a little bit more family around her. But then, Mulder was out on his little assignment trying to figure out, what was going on with um, the mystery of this. They called him the Band-Aid Man. He was going around taking up for the homeless people and things of that nature, because I didn't see the first part when it first came on, but my daughter was telling me that it was like a poor neighborhood, a rundown neighborhood, that they were trying to, you know, help get these homeless people to move out of the area, and they wanted to do gentrification. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. You can research it, look it up. But it's like a program where some corporate heads come out and they look at space or unoccupied buildings that they feel that they can remake over, and make it, turn it into a profit, meaning like old warehouse buildings of that nature that no one wanted to come and take over the lease or whatever, and it just got old and time went on, it got abandoned, and a lot of homeless people were like moving into it, and not really keeping it up clean, and the area just kind of got like what do you call it, kind of junky, and just rat infested type rundown area. So what they were gonna do, these corporate heads were buying up all this property around this area and displacing homeless people, putting them in another area to get that whole area clear so that they can do modifications, tear down some parts of the building if they needed to, renovate it and get it to where the structure that they were looking for it to be. Um, it can come into fruition and then they can make money. And, all these other people that were homeless and didn't really have anywhere to go anyway, he took them across town into, some somewhat close to some plush neighborhoods, the creme de la creme neighborhoods. And they didn't want that type of eyesore or type of population of people coming, bringing down their economic status of their community and all that. And the lady just she was a politician or some kind of advocate for that particular piece of residency around the area that the other politician guy was trying to make his corporate um, people, so that deal wouldn't go through. So it's like they both was at each other's throat, saying, "No, you're not gonna bring all that mess into our community," and da 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 da. And this mess that they're talking about are actually people, people that lost their jobs for no apparent reason, or however they got into their homeless situation. They were like, "No, you're not gonna send them here. They gonna stay right here." And you're gonna have to deal with it. It's your issue. Don't bring that issue to our community, our area, and da 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 da. So at this time, the guy that had ritualized this being that he had thought up in his mind, I call him the environmentalist, and the keeper of all that is bad, or they try to get the unseen people or invisible people they become, the homeless population that people just don't want to even recognize no more, or even think of them as individuals. um, he was like the watchdog, and everything that he felt that he manifested in his mind would come to life in some shape or form. So this little creepy little Terminator guy, I called him the Trash Man. He would go around and like fight evil for the homeless population or people that's trying to come to disturb their little area that they done populated with their own kind, because nobody pretty much understand them in the rest of our world or society. So um, he went to the little lady's house that was going to keep those type of people out of their area, and he went and killed her and everything. He thought he was doing justice in that way by taking that type of person out. And eventually he took out the other guy that was trying to get the money to do the gentrification in that particular rough neighborhood area, and displacing all those homeless people into another populated area where that area will eventually go down, because nobody was really, like I said, viewing those population of people. They just like was like pretty much like nomads. They just traveled wherever they could go in packs or groups. But other people would tell other people that are homeless, and they would usually migrate to that new area. So he kind of got scared and everything, because this little thing was just moving when him and Scully was trying to investigate it after her mother had passed and she couldn't do anything about it. And they went on and took her to the emergency room, her mother to the emergency room. Well, maybe not the emergency room, but some type of room where they could harvest her organs, because she was a organ donor. So they had to come get the body, because everything, they didn't want anything to go bad, because it's only a certain amount of time that you can get the organs out of a freshly died victim or body, so you can um, excavate them out of that person's body and store them somehow in some solution or whatever, and get it to the person that's next on line for whatever type of organ they're needing to sustain their life. So it's a time factor in all of that they have to recognize and get things going real quick, so the organs won't fail or they won't be usable for that particular person that's needing that particular organ. So she kind of got upset, and more to like, they have to do it, and your mother wanted, she knew her mother was an organ donor. That's one thing that did stay the same, and they kept it and all that good stuff. And they went on and tried to solve get back on the case, since wasn't too much more she could really do. So they got some guy they were just doing surveillance on, that they thought that he would lead them to the trash man, or to the trash man creator. And again, it was in another rough type of neighborhood, that the guy that knew of the creator of the trash man, um, the deity, or whatever abomination he had made, because of the anger he had felt how society had treated them. And it manifested itself into a real live walking around type of person. He even had the little garbage truck going, and to where he was gonna go kill his victims. Got a ride with the garbage truck. I don't know how that happened. It was kind of like it was comical, uh, because I'm still trying to figure out how they worked that in now. But everywhere he went and made a kill, he had his little garbage truck going, and um, somehow he got from around it, and he got into the victim's house, even though it did have some like green blood to it. So I'm thinking it's an alien or a demon, of course. Um, and that's how they tracked it back to him. He was in this old abandoned building at the very bottom, and it's a black guy that was trying to take him down now. But Shots, what are you doing over there?
Jay and Elijah.
Something was going on, and he led him down to this stairway case that just kept getting deeper and darker as they went along. But he was like, he ain't going down there. Like, he know what's down there. He ain't finna, be bothered. So eventually, most of them went on down there with their unassuming selves, uh, trying to find, the creator of this, monster that somebody had created, or extraterrestrial being that was doing all this killing that they needed to try to stop. And then when they were going down this long, dark tunnel with their little flashlights, it was like the Band Aid man was just gone, or it was several of them. I couldn't get the gist. Um, I couldn't find the explanation on, was it two or three running around now, but it's just this one, and he's just moving real, clever and quick. But he didn't try to harm or anything. And they finally got down there to, the guy, and he was like, cut off all them lights and stuff like that, because they'll come and they'll get me, and we don't need to be having all that type of situation, happening. So, calm down, shut the light, and I talk to y'all about what I feel that's going on. And so, he went on and told them the story about, he regrettably um, summoned this type of demon up, and it went into one of his creations that he was making, some kind of art form, um, something dedicated to, I guess, the homeless group, people that, he's going to watch over them. He's going to be their, guardian angel, and nothing's going to, affect them or whatnot. And so, that's, and then the scene was showing, how he had come to that perspective of what was happening and all this. And Scully looked like she just went into a total, I don't know what she was. I'm like, what going on with Scully over there, And I was, asking my daughter, and she was like, I don't know. It looked like she was in a trance or something. But it's like she was in a trance, but she was kind of looking at the man, but not really looking at him, because she was like playing stuff in her head. So, her mind was going, she was hearing everything they were talking about. And then she was like trying to blame herself and the man that they had created this demon that they were suffering from. And, she wanted him to take accountability of what he had conjured up. And then she had to take accountability, because she was feeling some kind of way that when she gave her son up, which was William, um, she wanted to know in her mind, did she do the right thing? Was she just, because he was so much to handle, and he was supposed to be like this alien or demon type child as well, was she just, did she just disregard and just throw away her child, such as Charlie, her youngest son. Her mother couldn't get him on the straight and narrow. I don't know, was he a rebellious child? Because right now I'm still trying to figure out who he is. Like I got to go back and do my due diligence and do some research because I just don't remember him. I just remember the oldest son, William Jr., and Melissa, the sister under her. I just don't remember Charlie. So, I'm gonna have to go figure him out later on. But like I said, it's like the mother had felt bad that for some reason she didn't give him enough love, or he wouldn't have struck out on his own and just disappeared out of their lives, because they hadn't heard heads or tails of him in the last 3 or 4 years, and the mother just wanted to know. I guess that's why before she really went into her coma, she had asked about Charlie, or where was Charlie? And I guess that was her way of saying, she didn't do her best, or she felt she didn't do her best by keeping him in their lives, and she wanted to make sure that he was okay. And like I said, for how some reason, I don't know, William Jr. got in touch with him, or Scully, he got Scully messages or whatnot. But he got a chance to get the message and call and talk to his mom, in a sense. And she did wake up, and she was cool with it. But she left something else for Scully to try to contemplate on, was talking about her missing grandchild, or I don't know, maybe the child is dead and she saw him wherever she was, her spirit was traveling to next. Uh, but it worried Scully because, she had that um, uneasy feeling about why her mother changed her medical directives with the life-saving techniques, or not, participating in them. And then she had this necklace that her mother had worn, or they had taken off of her prior to her coming into the hospital, because they were trying to do so much medical treatment with her. They didn't need her to have on any jewelry. And she had this quarter that was hooked to a chain, necklace that she was wearing, and she couldn't figure out, well, what in the world did Mama wearing a cord around her neck for that had this particular date? Because they had no reference to any of her children's birthdays, or any significant thing that stood out that she could relate to. And then with the idea of her on her deathbed, calling out, um, calling out her, what is it? Calling out her son's name. And like I said, we really didn't get a chance to, or I didn't get a chance to really catch back up on to see how she actually got rid of William. Or, she said she did it to protect him from, the government and them, choosing to experiment on him, until they got ready to discard him anyway, after they got finished trying to figure out how he was able to do the things that he was able to do. So evidently Mulder was in jail, or he was in some kind of psych ward, and she had to make the decision on her own, because she didn't even tell him till after it was over with, that she made a decision to put him up for adoption. And I don't know how she went about doing it, or was it one of those closed adoptions where she just gave the child up and they didn't tell her where they were going to send the child, or keep the child in the same state, where she lived or whatever. I'm pretty sure it was in another state, outside of the state adoption, and closed adoption, where she didn't have any ties to the child after the child, she signed the child away. But of course, again, she was doing it for the protection of the child. But then in hindsight, she was like, well, maybe that wasn't the best decision. So she had to carry that burden on her own, because that was something it seems like Mulder and her really didn't discuss. But at the time, he was incapacitated. Like I said, either he was out of his mind and in some kind of same asylum, or he was in jail. One of the one of them, because he was in an orange red, I mean an orange um, sweatsuit or prison suit. So I don't know. I have to do my investigation on following up on that piece of the information. But I don't know. It was just a hot mess coming towards the end because she had to like deal with her devils or in her demons she was facing and had been struggling with for a long time. In comparison to trying to see if she did the right thing or she just disregarded, human life. Even though she gave life to the being, the child, she kind of still threw it away or made her life not have that aspect in it anymore. Even though it was, a child, and the child was, I think she said, would have been 15 around the time they got back together with, bringing us back to the X Files. So, you know, after all was said and done, and they solved the case because they knew it was something supernatural that they were dealing with, and at the time, since everybody that was a threat to that particular community and the replacing of those individuals to another area living seemed to have come to a halt. So I don't know if they were going to bring the people back to the residence or they were going to keep them in the area that they had transported them to. Either way, maybe we'll learn that next episode, or I'm not really sure. But it seems like the ending had came, and the man that had created the being, he put like a circular um, smiley face on the guy. Maybe he conjured up or prayed that he have a different spirit, not an angry spirit in him, but a pleasant, humorous, nice spirit in him. So that pretty much was what was going on. Oh, excuse me. I have to plug up the thing to the computer because it's going out on me. So that was pretty much the um, the little lesson behind that little program. So at the end, after everything pretty much got solved, everything went back to normal. There were no more killings. It was time for Scully to um, do away with her mother ashes. I don't know why she decided to, or her mother decided to be cremated, but she was put in an urn. It seems like her and Mulder were back at the same place where they had cremated her father, I guess in her hometown where she grew up, and they were going to take it right back to the sea or the little lake area where they lived and dispose of the ashes there. And, contemplate on what they were going to do, whether they're going to try to find their child and just to make sure he was okay and it could take some of that burden off of her. Or it just kind of left you with a what if, or maybe we should do this. So, maybe it will come before the season ends, or the 6 episodes they gave us to preview this time. But a lot of things need to be cleared up. But right now, it was just left at whether or not they would take the time off and go look for their child and see how he has grown into his new life, and basically trying to interrupt that new life to tell him about the old life he had. So that should be interesting if they try to take that path on bringing us that particular episode. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I really did. I had me, some moments where I got a good laugh or a chuckle, and that's what I liked in reviewing these shows. I need to get something positive out of it. I gotta have a plot, and it has to be taking me somewhere. So I was pretty much well entertained this particular one. So I hope y'all enjoyed the review. I'll be back again next week on Monday, reviewing episode 5. So look forward to doing it with you all, and hopefully y'all enjoyed me telling you about it. Anyway, have a nice evening, and I'll talk to you real soon. Stay blessed. Be blessed. Bye.